Yes, y'all. Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of The Trying Christian. I am your host, Janasia Johnson, and just get ready, y'all. Oh my gosh, this is such a surreal moment to really be here and doing this. I was just talking to my friend Tyler, my roommate. She was helping me set up. I love her so much, so much, but she was helping me set up. And when she came into the room, she was just like, I'm so proud of you. You're really doing this. And she was like, when you told me, because I was supposed to record this a few days ago, but school has been doing this thing with me. She was like, when you told me you're about to do this, I went into a really deep prayer for you because, you've just been talking about this for so long, and I'm just like, it's finally here, and I'm doing this thing, y'all. This has been on my heart for so long, but I was in a game of tug-of-war with the Lord. God was like, Nasia, I got this thing for you to do, and I'm just like, God, I don't think this is what you're calling me to. I enjoy, my little vlogs and my little, little one-twos, but I'm just like, this is a big step, and am I really qualified for this? That was my question the whole time. God, the lifestyle that I live, what people know me for, people back home, they know me, and I'm just like, they not gonna understand who this new person is. And God was just like, this ain't for them to understand. Babe, I'm calling you to this. Let's get to it. And I was just like, I don't know. It was just a whole lot of back and forth and tug of war with God. And this past Sunday, as it was on my heart, I was just like, I felt it becoming more and more alive, but I'm just still denying it. This ain't for me. I've gotten so much confirmation, but I'm just like, this still ain't for me. Something else. Can I do something else? Can I be more in the background of doing this? And I was just like, no, I'm not calling you to be in the background. I'm calling you to step up and be obedient and do this thing with faith, by grace, through faith. Okay. And so he was like, well, God, if you really want me to do this, I'm going to need you to answer this question. My mom and I were sitting down, and I was like, I'm going to call it Sit Down Sundays. But when I sat down, I was just like, no, that's not what it's supposed to be called. And I'm talking to my mom, and my mom's like, oh, that's cute. And she's coming up with names. And I'm like, okay, these names are eating, but nothing is really pulling me in my spirit. And so my church this past Sunday was they had a worship night. And I was like, you know what, God, I'm going to go in with a spirit of expectancy. And if you want me to do this thing, I just need you to answer this one question. Because sometimes we just have to question God. God, can you really and it's not that we doubt you, but it's just God, I really need you to show yourself. And so that's what I went in. I was like, that's what I went in with. I was just like, God, if you want me to do this, give me a name. And I was just like, it's not going to be anything I need you to give me a name. When I feel it, let me know that, yes, this is the name Janasia. So I'm in worship, and, I'm really deep. I'm praying. It's just okay, when is it coming? But I'm just let me focus on worship. So I was just focus on worship. I was just you know what I came in with, God, but I'm going to focus on this worship, and I'm going to let you move. And so I'm worshiping, and God just drops it on my spirit. He's the trying Christian. And the reason why is because and afterwards I discovered this, and I got this revelation from God, because I was just every time I come on my YouTube channel, I'm we're just doing this thing called Life Together, because life can get hectic. I don't do this, and I'm not coming on here to do this to show y'all oh, I'm this saved, perfect Christian. No, this walk is not easy, and babes, it's not for the weak. I'm gonna let you guys know that now. It's not for the weak. It requires discipline. It requires obedience. It requires self-control. It requires patience. I'm telling y'all, it's not easy. And it's just if you guys read in the Bible and it talks about the narrow path and the wide path is the path that everybody's on. Any old typical person, anybody who just wants to live their life. I was on that path too. I was on that path. Like I said, I'm trying. I'm not perfect. I come from that path, and so I know what being on that path is like. But then there's a narrow path, the path that leads to heaven, and it's just this path is tight. This path is really going to require you to get in your bag. And if y'all watch that, Sarah Jake's sermon is going to require you to stay in your lane. But it's not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to try. It's asking you to get up every day, deny yourself, take up your cross, and walk with me. It's not asking you to be perfect. It's not asking you to have it all together. It's not asking you to not sin, because the only person who was sinless was Jesus. So he's not asking you to be perfect. He's telling you to come as you are and let me work on you. Let me do my thing. And so that's why it's called the Trying Christian. That's why it's called the Trying Christian, because it's not to, I didn't want to do this as though like, oh my gosh, I live this new life and I'm just so extravagant. That's not what it is. It's really to show you guys like this thing, it gets tricky. It gets complicated, but with God, nothing is impossible. Like you can do it all. The discipline that you think you don't have, I'm going to tell y'all my testimony that I'm about to get into. The discipline that you think you don't have, God will mold you, okay? God will mold you. God will shape you. He is a potterer, okay? He will do the darn thing. And so this first episode is literally just going to be me getting into my testimony and just like kind of telling you guys like how I've been in and out the church and backslid and all that other stuff, and basically get to how I am here today recording this with you guys. And so going back in time, I grew up, I don't want to say in a religious household. I didn't grow up in a religious household, but my family was in church. And my mom, when she was home, she would take us to church. We would go to church. We were very well known. It was like the church that's right across, not right across, but right down the street from our house. Like even now, like our neighbors are like, oh my gosh, how's your mom? How are you? Like they see us and like, because we've been in that church. Well, we were in that church for so long. But when my mom went to prison, kind of fell off. Things got hectic with like the court days, trying to figure everything out. I also did a complete 180 with my life. I was a straight A student, didn't get into any trouble. I was running track. I was like a very, very great child. But when my mom left, it's like I lost it. Like my attitude was terrible. I was skipping school. I was just a whole lot. And so, all that was going on in my life, and I kind of like, lost God. Like I always had a love for God, but I kind of just didn't have a relationship with him. Like I knew him and I loved him, but I didn't have a relationship with him, and that's what it was at the time. And so, I kind of fell out of the church, and I was like, in elementary, started hanging out with the wrong crowd, lost myself. And in third and fourth grade, my mom went away when I was in second grade, but in third and fourth grade is when things started to get really bad. Like third grade was like, progressing. Fourth grade was like, okay, Janasia, you're doing a whole lot. Like that was when I began to like skip school, and I was like failing classes. Well, I never failed a class, but I just wasn't doing good in my classes. Like I was just like averaging like C's and like sometimes D's. And this is coming from someone who was a straight A student. And so everybody's like, well, what's going on? And I was coming home late. Like I grew up very, very fast. Like I learned a lot of things fast, again, just hanging out with the wrong crowd. And so I was coming home late. In fourth grade, my aunt ended up sending me to a psychiatric ward because I said I wanted to commit suicide. And I was very close to the point. And so she sent me to a psychiatric ward, came back. And I think this was like the summer of like going into the fifth grade. And so she pulled us out of the school we were at, and then we went to another school. I was at Oak Grove, and then my aunt sent us to Arch Creek. And so I started going to Arch Creek, but it's like things just got terrible. Like it went from bad to terrible. I don't even think terrible was the word. It was horrendous, y'all. Like that, I became a completely different Janasia. Like if I could show y'all the pictures, like I just, again, got mixed up in the wrong crowd and was just doing a whole lot. Like, I was recently talking to an old friend of mine. We both went to Arch Creek. He's, like, off playing football, doing really great things. And he was just like, Janasia, you were terrible in fifth grade. And I was like, I wasn't that bad. He was just like, no, you were terrible. And I was just like, dang, I actually was terrible. Like, I didn't want to admit it, but behind my phone, I was just like, yeah, you're not lying. I can give it to you. And so that was me in fifth grade. And so I ended up running away from home. I It was a lot, y'all. A lot happened in the time, and a lot more details that I'm skipping over because in later videos I do want to, go into that a little bit more. But I was sexually assaulted, and all of that happened in fifth grade, and I was just like lost. I didn't know me. I would look myself in the mirror. I didn't understand who I was. I didn't know what love was anymore. Like I felt like the one person, my mom, who was in my life to show me true love, I was like, I didn't have her anymore. I didn't grow up with a father. So now I'm out here in the world, like looking for love and just like getting myself into like the wrong things. So middle school, my aunt sent me off to boarding school, and I went off to boarding school, and although I'm glad I don't go to school anymore. I'm glad I ended up not going. Well, I went to the school, but I only went there for middle school. It was like, we were actually the first class to go to that school. It was a very new school. But I'm glad I left after 8th grade and I went to a regular school because that school was a lot in itself. But I do appreciate the fact that it took me out of the environment that I was used to, and it helped me to like kind of hone in a little bit. I don't want to say identity skills because I was still lost, but I did get some more discipline there. So that discipline definitely helped. But I will say that being that I was pulled from a regular public school, I lost my social skills. And it was also like, my family was kind of like the popular family. Like everyone knew my brother, everyone knew my aunt, everyone knew my cousins, everyone knew me. We kind of went to like the schools that were popular. So it's like everyone knew us. And so for me to go into a school and just be pulled away from my family, although it did benefit me, it was just like a new thing for me. I'm just like, I don't know anyone here. This is so not what I'm used to. And so again, still out of church. I also did end up going to a Catholic church for some time. I did communion there. I was going to, I think Saturday school it was there. Yeah, I ended up going to Catholic school. So I ended up going to a different religion. Didn't really understand that. But again, just following my family's directions, or at least trying to be obedient a little bit. Obedient. And so that was that. But now I'm in middle school and I'm not really going to any church. My grandma, I'm Haitian. My grandma was going to a Haitian church, or she still goes to a Haitian church, but a little embarrassment, I don't speak Creole. So I was going to the Haitian church, but I didn't really understand it really because I'm just like, I don't speak Creole. But there was, of course, people there, like young people who would speak English and stuff like that. And I would really go there to hang out with them. It was really just another hangout thing for me. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. But it was just another hangout thing for me. And so I get there, and I was also dealing with this little guy, in a little 1-2 guy with this guy. And so that's another reason why I was there. And so going to this church, and I just kind of fell out of church. I think I ended up getting to some drama over there. And so I kind of was like, oh, I'm going to stop going over there. And so then now, fast forward through middle school, my aunt ended up pulling me out of the school, and she ended up putting me into Doctor's Charter. So I ended up going to Doctor's Charter high school. That was for 9th grade year. And it was cool. Again, it was just weird being thrown back into a public school, although it was a charter school. It was just being weird because I lacked those social skills, and that school was kind of a 6 through 12. And so a lot of people kind of had been through the school already and knew people, and I was just the new girl at the school. And a lot of them hated me. And so it was just oh my gosh, I don't want to be here. And I wasn't getting bullied or anything like that, but it was just you guys don't know me, but you guys hate me. But that was that. But the good thing that comes out of me going to Dr. Charter is that I meet an old friend of mine. Her name is Ashley. She goes to FSU, is a Delta, really proud of her. But an old friend of mine, Ashley, she invites me to her church. And so I go to her church. It was just a Wednesday night. It was a youth service. I go to the church. I'm just wow, God is really present. And I'm just okay, maybe I can do this Christian thing again. So I started meeting people, talking to people. I started getting connected, getting involved a little bit. I also started dating this guy there. And so that was that. Started going to that church, got really plugged in, really involved. I was first baptized there. I was baptized with the Holy Spirit there as well. I made my first purity ring promise there, but we're going to get into that. I met my mentor at the time. Her name was Rodine. I met some really great people who I'm still connected with today. It was a very, very great atmosphere. But That relationship I was in didn't last long. It got pretty toxic, fell out of that. But then I got into this other situation with this guy, and like people in the church ended up finding out about that, and they began to like, judge me as, people do, people make mistakes. But because of that, I kind of fell out of the church because I was like, oh my gosh, these people are my family. Like, I love them like they were my family. I would want them to like give me correction and not like, kind of throw me out and make me like, the outcast. And so that's what it became. And so like in 2019, I like stopped going to church. I was just like, wow, is this what God's people are really like? And that's how I felt at the time. So I stopped going to church, and 2019 was literally my last time going to church. I think like I went to church like, I don't even think like a New Year's service. I don't even think I went to church like 2020 New Year's. Like I don't even think, because I think, I was at work. I was at work. And so I was also like at it with my family. And so it was just really a lot going on at that time. And I was just like, God, like, I thought I was just like, your love, like, where's your love? Like, what's going on? And I'm just like questioning God. So I just stopped going to church all around. I stopped going. Ended up transferring to Miami Northwestern Senior High School for cheerleading, but I ended up not cheering because I had to start working. And that was that. So I started working like a real job, and like, because I was working at a daycare, which was a real job. It was like my real first job, but now I actually was like, working like an actual job, like at a restaurant. And so I started doing that, and so I couldn't cheer because I was going through a lot with my family. I had to start paying for a lot of things by myself, and so that also took up a lot of my time. It was like one of the reasons why I didn't really go back into church. And so, because I always knew God, like I always knew God. If you like follow me on Instagram, I would still like post like worship videos. I would still talk about God, but it was just like I fell back so much, and I was like, God, you can't pull me back in again. Like, yeah, I love you. Like, yeah, I'm still here, but it's just like, you can't save me from this, God. Like, I know your love is still there, but you can't really pull me back. Like, I had broke my purity ring promise, and it was just like, so much happened. I was just like, God, that's it. Like, you try your best with me. That's it. Like, that's really how I felt. And so I stopped going to church, and then went off to college. I met my friend Tyler. That was like my first friend I met in college. I love her so much. I don't know how much I love this girl. And she will be on one of the episodes, and y'all will hear her testimony too. And so I met her. Like, we kind of like, went through college together. We were like kind of, I don't want to say living the same lives, but we related to each other in a lot of ways. And so like we really gravitated towards each other. And so fast forwarding, college, boom, started drinking more, going out towards the end of my freshman year, started smoking. Then I started picking up on smoking more, and I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm actually smoking a lot. It became like my new coping thing. I was angry, I'm smoking. Like, I'm sad, I'm smoking. I want to go sleep, I'm smoking. Before I eat, I'm smoking. It just became my new thing. And I was also drinking a lot too. And it wasn't as though I became this different person. It was just like, oh my gosh, who is this Janasia? But it was just like, internally, I was just like, I know that this is not Janasia. But it was just like, it felt good for the moment. Like, I'm having fun. I'm in college. I'm like, yeah, I'm young. Time to live it up. That's how I was feeling. But then summer of 2022, I had lost a very, very near and dear friend of mine, Reggie. God rest his soul. My brother's closest friend ended up passing away. And just a lot happened. And my brother ended up getting shot. And so much happened in that summer. And I just started smoking like even more. Like, I was just like, I can't like pay attention to my feelings right now. Like, I can't. I was just like, it was so much to cope with. I ended up getting into a fight with my brother right before all of this happened. And it was just so much going on with like guys and all this other stuff. And just, I was like, I can't manage. And it was just like, again, like, I just wasn't there with God. And so I didn't really have anything to like, like my mom was there. My mom's always been very present. Like, even with her being in prison, she has always like been very motivating. Like, even when I fell out of church, and I even sat there and I thanked my mom the other day, because I was like, Mom, like, even when I was out of the church, like, you were like, Janasia, like, why aren't you going to church anymore? Like, Janasia, hey, I have this verse for you. I'm going to remind you. Although I was like, Mom, I don't want to hear it right now. Like, she still was like, Janasia, church, you need to start getting plugged in again. You need to have that relationship with God. I miss when you were on fire with God. Like, my mom never let me let go of that. Like, she would always remind me. And although I would be like, okay, Mom, can you please stop? I thank her so much for just being so just present and just so, like, there, and being just a great mom. And so my mom was just always present. She always, like, motivated me. She's a great mom. And I tell you, I think I have the best mom in the world. I'm convinced I have the best mom in the world. Like, this isn't just me saying, like, because she's my mom, but my mom is amazing. Please, God blessed me with her. I promise you. And so, but even with having my mom, it was just like, gosh, I just can't cope with all this stuff. Like, every time I turned around, it was something new. And I was just like, I felt like, dang, like, when am I going to catch a break? Like, I was like, I worked so hard, and it's just like, things just keep going left and going right. Not going right, but things just kept going left. It was just like, when is it all going to come together for me? And so went back up to Gainesville, started living by myself, started smoking even more. And it was a little depressing living by myself. And it was just like, although I enjoyed living by myself, it would still get lonely. And it was just like, again, still a lot going on. So fast forward to April of 2023, it is Easter Sunday, and my friends and I are like, okay, we want to go to church. It's Easter Sunday. So we started looking up, like, okay, what our church should go to, and we found a live church, which is the church that I currently go to now, which I love so much. And we found a live church. I went for Easter Sunday, and I was just like, okay, this is really good. Like, okay, maybe I did miss this. But it was just like, I went that one time, and like, I never went again. And I would say, like, it was by choice. I just, like, woke up on Sunday and was like, I'm not going to church. And sometimes I would also work on Sunday. So it was, like, a lot of work. And then this happened in April. I ended up going back down to Miami at the end of April to work and do my internship for the summer. And so still, like, it's like, I met God a little bit more, but I was just like, my life too hectic right now for this God, like, not right now. And so I go down to Miami, and I'm back home, I'm working, and a lot is just going on in life still. Like, I got into an argument with my aunt, got into an argument with my sister, and it's just so much going on. And I was talking to this guy at the time, and he invited me to one of the churches that he visits often, and it's like Cool Church, and it was amazing. Like, when I went there, I was just like, wow, God, you are so good. Because I was just like, that message, and I remember it was just like, basically about how God, like, left the 99 to find the one. And I was just like, when I heard that, I was just like, no, like, I was literally worshiping, like, crying, and like, in the word, because I'm just like, God, like, no, like, no, like, no, I don't want to hear this right now. Like, no. And it was like, it's what I needed to hear. Because, like I said, like, I always, like, knew God, but it was just like, God kept calling me. And I'm just over here denying him, like, no, not right now, another time, try me again later. That's what it was. But in that moment, I was just like, God just breathed in me. Like, when I tell you, a newness was like I was filled with a newness. Like, I was just like, no, like, I have to do this thing again. Like, I have to give God another try. Like, I have to let him take full control. And although in that moment, like, I walked away, it was a very amazing service. Like, I'm so grateful for Cool Church. And even when I go down, like, I always try my best to go back and, like, still go, because I was just like, that's where I found God again. Like, I don't know if you guys ever been to VU. I've never been to VU either, but it's a church in Miami. It's like, I found God I think they're like, I don't want to say slogan, but like, sometimes they'll have like t-shirt and signs where it's like, I found God in Miami. And I'm just like, I found God at Cool Church. Like, I really found God again. And it was just like, that moment never left me. And I tried my best to go to church, like, as often as I can from there. But it was like mid-July when I started going to church again, and I was leaving back to Gainesville in August. And so I was still smoking after church. Like, it wasn't as often, and I don't think I even bought after that. I think I bought one more time after that. I bought from someone, and and I wasn't smoking as often, but it was still a thing. still drinking and all that stuff. But it was just like I knew God was calling me out of that. But it was just like I was just so comfortable. But it's just like this thing ain't supposed to be comfortable, Janasia. Like you need to get uncomfortable because that's where the growth comes. Like that's what God was telling me. But I'm just like, God, I'm in my vibe right now. Like I'm about to be 21. Like I'm about to, live life. Like I'm in college. I'm not trying to hear none of that right now. Like I love you and I will worship you and I will have a relationship with you. But it's just like you're not taking that part right now. And it's just like, if you want to have that relationship with me, you need to surrender it all to me. You can't just hold some of it back. Like, because I know you guys, like, I know everything about you. There's nothing you can hold back from me. But in order for me to really work in you, like, you need to surrender and give it all up to me. Like, you have to understand that. And I was just like holding stuff back. I was like, God, are you ready to surrender this to you? And so, fast forward, come August, I ended up coming back up to Gainesville. And I was like, by myself for some time because I moved into the apartment. My friends were already living here, but they hadn't come up yet. So I was by myself for some time, but then they ended up coming up. And Tyler came up first, and Tyler was like, we should go to church. So we went to church, but then that service was really good. We went back to a live church, and it felt good to be back at a live church because we hadn't been since April. So we went back, and then we ended up going out that Friday night. So we went out that Friday night and like we smoked before we went out and we drank and we had a good time. But then we woke up the next morning and the conviction both of us felt was so crazy because we both got up. I don't know if I texted her. I don't know if she came to my room. I really can't remember. But I know we both like coincident, like because there ain't no coincidence when it comes to God. But like both of us were like, we're done. Like we're throwing out the weed. Like it's no more of that. Like we both took our weed, we took our tray. Like I didn't even care. Like when I tell my friends this, they think I'm crazy. They're like, girl, you could have gave it to me. And I was just like, it wasn't that type of party, y'all. I wasn't thinking about that. I was ready to get rid of it. God told me to get rid of it, and I wasn't thinking of who I can give it to. I threw it all in the trash. I literally took my bowl, I took my lighter, I took my tray, I took my pre-rolls, I took it all, and I threw it in the trash. And from there, that's when I really started to like, okay, God, I'm going to start surrendering to you. Like, I surrender this part of me. Like, I let this like addiction of mine go. Let it go. And from there, it's when I really began to feel God move, like little by little. He was like, okay, you're surrendering more. It was just like, that's the thing. He's just like step by step. He's not asking you when it comes to like, being a Christian. I think a lot of people try to make it seem like, and sometimes it is like this for people. Like sometimes just like people wake up and just transform their lives. But for a lot of people, it's not like that. Like sometimes it is little by little and it's piece by piece and it's brick by brick. And it's just like, that's okay too. Like everyone's relationship and everyone's journey with God is different. Like even for me, like I stopped smoking, but I was still drinking and I was still like, I was slowing down with drinking, but it was just like I wanted to like completely stop drinking. And that took some time. And even now, like, I'm still working through that. And like I said, I'm a trying Christian, not a perfect one, but I haven't drank in like a week. I'm saying it like I be drinking every week, but I know occasionally, like when my friends want to have a good time, I'll drink, but I don't like getting drunk. And so I'm still trying to navigate through that and learning, y'all. And so, but I like recently was like, I know my friends and I like, we want to like enjoy this upcoming this weekend that UF does. And I was just like, I don't want to drink. Like, I just don't have the desire to drink. Like, it's just like, I feel more like, myself. I feel like when I drink, I make like careless decisions. And it's just like with this ring, this purity ring, I made this promise on my birthday. And again, y'all, this is full transparency. I have slipped up since I made this promise. I'm like trying my best to be as transparent as I can with you guys because there's a lot that I want to go into, but I did slip up even after I made the promise. Like I myself went on my birthday to the mall and I bought this ring for myself, and I was just like, God, I'm going to try this thing again with you. Like, I really want to do this with you. And I was just like, it's going to be hard because you know me, like it's going to be hard, but I'm willing to do this. And I really want you to understand, like, I'm not doing this and I'm not making this promise as though it's never going to happen, but I am going to try to get on that path so that it doesn't happen. Like, I need you to really instill your discipline in me. And so like drinking really comes, not wanting to drink really comes for that. I feel like when I drink, like I make careless decisions or like, and I've also noticed that when I drink, I'm a lightweight. No, because why did my camera literally just turn off from overheating? I'm going to get this out there one way or another. So I'm going to need the enemy to, pipe down a little bit because It's going to come out one way or another. Anyways, back to what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. I was saying that I just recently decided that I don't want to drink anymore because I feel like when I'm drunk, I don't make conscious decisions. And I feel like that causes me to, not only do I feel the conviction in the morning, but it's just like, come on, Janasia, like, we're really trying to do this thing. And it's just like, I want to do better. And if I want to do better, I have to let go of like just wanting to be this like fun and just like dainty person. Like, I have to be more disciplined, and not just for other people to see, and not just for other people to see, or not even just for myself, but I'm just like, God, I made this promise to you because I love you and because I want you to have your way. I want your will to be done. And in order for your will to be done, I have to decrease so that you can increase. Like, I have to take a step back and I have to let you lead. You be the head and me be the tail. Like, I really had to. And so, like, again, little by little, like, God is like, working on me and just like, doing his thing with me. And so here I am today with you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm still getting used to like the mic thing, but here I am today doing this thing with you guys, and it's going to be a journey, and I'm super excited to just share this journey with you guys because God has really just been breathing life into me and in every area of my life. Like, I recently, like I said, fasted for this, and when I came back from the fast, I'm just like, God, you're so good. Like, life has just been so much more fulfilling, like, with him in it. Like, things no longer, like, now I know my purpose, and now I, like, understand things more. And I think a lot of times with Christianity, people think, like, oh, it's like this religion, you have to do all this stuff, but Christianity, Lord, Christianity is less about the religion and more about the relationship. Like, it's hard, especially as someone who is coming from the world, especially as someone who didn't have much guidance growing up. There's a lot of like tweaking and fixing God is doing with me. But when I tell you, I promise you, it is so worth it. When I tell y'all, like, my confidence has changed. It's just knowing my purpose, just the amount of love and healing and just peace and joy that I experience now. Like, before, any little thing would cause me to be anxious and worked up. But as you get into your word and as you get closer to God, you really start to, like, the word literally becomes life. Like, it's no longer, it's no longer like I'm anxious and now it's just like a worry about nothing and pray about everything. Like, things will come up and I'm just like, God will do it. God will take care of it. Because that's how much confidence I have in God now that I've like experienced his love for real. Well, now that I'm experiencing his love for real, now that I'm really like soaking in his presence and soaking in his word, it's just like you start to realize that these things actually come to life. And when you let go and let God will do such tremendous things with you. Like, never would I think that I would be sitting in front of you guys doing a podcast, being vulnerable, talking about my mistakes, talking about how I would have never thought that. I thought it was just going to be like this vlogging thing that, people just love seeing my life. But God is just like, no, like, there's more to this. Like, there's more to this. Like, I'm calling you to more. And y'all, when you meet God and you experience like his fullness, I just wish I could put it into words, y'all. But when I promise you, like, coming back to God, it's literally like the best thing. I'm getting emotional, y'all. I'm such an emotional person. Like, y'all are going to see a lot of tears on this podcast. But like, when I tell y'all, like, this, I'm going to cry. But when I tell y'all, God is just so much trauma and all the things that he's taken me from. Like, it's just like, you really, like, I went to hell, God. Like, I really said, I'm done with this thing. I really turned around. I fell back into sin. I thought you could never bring me back. And here I am today in your presence. And though I am not worthy, God, I am so thankful. So thankful. God is just so good, y'all. Like, I really wish y'all could like understand, but if you know, then you know. Like, God is just so fulfilling, and he's just so perfect. His love, his peace, his kindness, his righteousness. And the biggest thing, if anything, that I want you guys to take away from this video is just that you don't have to earn God. You don't have to earn God's grace. It's already given to us. When Christ died on that cross and he was resurrected, we were also resurrected. The old us died and the new life was given to us, and it's up to us to accept that and receive that grace and receive that salvation. I've literally become a by grace through faith, because there's nothing I can do that can separate me from the love of God, and there's nothing I can do to earn the love of God. It has already been given to me. I wish I could sit here and say, yes, I earned God's righteousness, but I didn't. I really didn't. Jesus really paid the price for me. And when I say I am so thankful that he took what I deserved so that I could have what he deserved. When you really, really understand that, you're just wow, God. Wow. And so that is my testimony, and that is the very first episode of this podcast. I just want to thank you guys so much, if you guys made it this far into the podcast, for just listening to my testimony. And I hope you guys really begin to just see God and understand God. This isn't for me to literally get any glory. I really want people to really know and understand God's love and how good he is, and just for the lost souls to be found. Whether you believe in God or not, come here. This is a safe space. When I was getting this together, I was just God, I want to get office space. I want everything to be perfect. And God is no, Janasia, I'm calling you to do this thing now. Do it now. And as these things are coming up, I'm just oh my gosh, my room was this comfortable, safe space for me. And I'm bringing you guys in here because I want you guys to understand that this is what it is. Ask all the questions you have in the comment. Say what you have to say. I'm here to I'm being taught so that I can teach you guys. I want you guys to follow me as I'm following Christ. As I'm learning these things, I'm teaching it to you guys. I'm showing it to you guys. And I'm just allowing God to work, y'all. Just letting him work, literally. I can't give any credit or any glory to anyone but God. I thank my friends, especially Tyler and my mom, for just motivating me and telling me yes, Janasia, go, and all the confirmation I received. But I give all the glory to God. And before I even started this, I went into a deep prayer. I was just God, when I do this, let your words come through. I don't even know what I'm going to say. There was nothing for me to practice. I was just God, speak to me. Speak to me. Let every word that comes out of my mouth just be from you, oh God. Have your way. So thank you guys so much for watching the very first episode of The Trying Christian. I'm super excited to see where this goes, and I'm just so excited for God to just do his thing with all of us. We're all just doing this thing. And so again, thank you guys so much for watching. Grace and favor to all of you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.